Good evening, everyone, and thank you for coming and or watching as the case may be. Bring tonight's meeting to order. The purpose of tonight is to learn the details of the operations of our parking system. You'll hear from Mr. David Kelly first, our town manager, and then followed by Mr. Jim Varner, President and CEO of Auto Connect, the vendor chosen by council to manage our parking system. You'll then have an opportunity to direct questions to Mr. Kelly and Mr. Varner. There will be no exchange with council tonight. We're going to sit and listen and learn along with you. So direct your questions there. Mr. Kelly.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Gotcha. We got some new technology. So what I want to do is give you an update on the terms that we're going to be using. We tried to make everything consistent. We had a few words that was being used by the town, a few words being used by the vendor, a few words out there during the RFP process. So we tried to make everything sort of the same lingo. Paid parking, parking spaces for anyone to purchase on site at a cost of $5 an hour, $20 a day, or $80 a week. Seasonal parking permit, seasonal parking and paid parking spaces for anyone to purchase in advance at a cost of $175 per vehicle. Town parking permit is a seasonal parking in any space for residents and property owners at a cost of $10 per vehicle, limit 3. Town parking decal, that is the outgoing system that we're looking at that still goes through till December 31st of this year, and that's that green sticker that you've been having on your windshield. So we've been working on this for a while. August 16th, council presented a topic as an item for discussion. August 17th, contours of paid parking presentation and other initial information were added to the parking information page on the town's website. September 6th, a special called meeting was held for the purpose of presenting information and receiving public input. September 13th, council reviewed contours of paid parking checklist and decided on specific aspects to include. October 4th, a special called meeting was held to further review and decisions on the contours of paid parking checklist. October 11th, Town Council directed staff to begin drafting language for the RFP for paid parking services. October 28th, as the amount of information grew, we did a standalone page on the town website, and it was created, and you can see the link to that. November 8th, Town Council voted to approve releasing the request for proposal, the RFP, for paid parking services. On November 9th, the town published the RFP on the bids page of the town's webpage. November 21st, town staff compiled responses to a list of questions submitted by the potential vendors regarding the RFP. On December 13th, Town Council voted unanimously to select Auto Connect as the parking service vendor. January 10th, Town Council voted to approve a series of proposed amendments to Chapter 28 of the Code of Ordinances, Parking, and to establish a fee schedule for the paid parking program, and to retain the current 182 town decal spaces, with direction to staff to identify an additional 182 town resident parking decal spaces if available. January 12th and 13th, the program outline and frequently asked questions section were added to the paid parking page for your information. January 17th, Town Council voted unanimously to approve the revised service agreement with Auto Connect. February 3rd, the program outline was updated. The right-of-way parking information and the frequently asked question was updated and reformatted to show questions based on the subject. And that's the link that you can find it.
Mr. Kelly, I'm hearing that from someone that maybe you need to speak a little louder, please.
I will try.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, February 20th, during a special called meeting to address business from the recessed February 13th regular meeting, the town council voted to approve a budget ordinance amendment to transfer funds from the general fund balance to provide funding for the initial cost of the paid parking program, such as signs, posts, gravel, and parking bumpers. And a note for that, these funds will be transferred back to the general fund once the paid parking program generates revenue. February 27th, a special meeting was officially called by the mayor and scheduled for March 2nd, with public notice established immediately thereafter. As established by the town council on January 10th and approved on January 17th, the service agreement with Auto Connect established paid parking permit rates of $5 an hour for up to 3 hours, $20 per day for any duration greater than 4 hours, $80 per week for 7 consecutive days, $175 per seasonal parking permit, and they put a cap on that for 1,000 of those to be sold. Provided council with the ability to amend the service agreement at any time if deemed as needed. Yearly fishing passes. We had different concerns that we had to work through this program. Yearly fishing passes sold by the Oak Island Pier will include a seasonal parking permit for 1 vehicle. And we are still working on the fee schedule for next year, and this comes up budget, so you'll see some changes coming forward for those. Structure in place to accommodate employee of businesses within the pier complex. We have some lease people there that lease some property or lease the restaurant from us. And then we have our town staff that we had to make sure we were accommodating them a place to park. Special event parking accommodations for renters and guests at 801 Ocean Event Center. We've worked that out with Jim on what we can do for that. If you're having an event there, the hours that you have it, we'll look at that. And during those times, there'll be free parking in certain areas for that event for people to be able to park. Paid parking will be suspended for duration of events at Middleton Park Complex, Farmers Market, Art Guild, those kind of things, from Southeast 49th Street to Southeast 46th Street during the times of those events. And then in process, we're identifying a solution to accommodate the restaurant and coffee shop patrons, along with the daily people that come in buy fishing passes. We're still working out a way that we can accommodate them for purchasing and for them to be able to park. That's something we're still working with Jim on. So, progress of spaces added. Originally, we had 1,150 spots. Public parking, 880, town permit, 183, handicap, 43, low-speed vehicle, 44. And so we started looking at things that we could do, things that we needed to add, some areas that we need to improve on. Current total, as of yesterday, we have 1,258 spots now. Paid parking is 900. Town permit is 284. Handicap is 53. And the LSV is 21. One of the reasons why the LSV is lower is because they park just like a car. So we don't need to have special parking spots for those. They'll park in the same thing as a car spot. The Middleton access, that's low-speed vehicles, it stays. The parking in front of the pier, in that area low speed, due to the depth of those parking spots, they stay LSV as well. And we're still waiting on signage to arrive, the town decal parking only spots. And then we'll have those identified. Oops. And that is my part for right now. And I'd like to introduce Jim. Mr. Kelly. Thanks, sir.
Get all your stuff. Mayor, council, town staff, public, residents, owners, visitors, whoever's all here. It is my pleasure and honor to be here in support of the town of Oak Island with a paid parking program. Yeah, I gotta use the microphone. Better? Okay. Aim. My goal tonight is to go through a general description and detailed description of what services we provide, how we provide them. As I go through the topics, talk about residents, owner support, visitors enforcement, et cetera. And I'll go through each one of these one step at a time and take you through it. From an introduction standpoint, AutoConnect is dedicated to software as a service for mobile apps, website applications. As we have grown, the towns that we have served has said, Jim, we really need a better parking solution that is customized to our environment, in particular, the environment of a coastal community, which is very unique. Our goal, simply put, is to provide value to the town, value to you, the residents, value to the stakeholders associated with the town of Oak Island. And we do that with a seamless, easy-to-use parking solution. And I'll take you through those details as we go. Our solution is custom built by our team. We don't outsource development. We've developed this parking capabilities strictly in-house. So if there's ever a problem, I have nobody to blame except myself. So if ever there's a problem, let me tell you, it stops right here. And we take care of it. We fix it right away. We have the ability to customize to meet any needs of the town. Some things kind of baffle us at first. Right now, as Mr. Kelly said, we're still working through the restaurant vendor solution at the pier. But there are options that we have and we can put in place to make sure that they get their value just like everybody else does in the town. And at the bottom line, we're always upgrading and improving our system. And you'll see some of those improvements as I go through this from where we were last year. So if anybody has ideas, please just let us know. Our next goal is customer support. We really focus on this. We want to make sure that people know how to use our system. It's easy and intuitive to use with a mobile app, the web link. And by the way, if you don't like any of that technology, just call us on the phone and we'll help you out. Whether you need a permit, whether you're paying a parking violation, where's the best place to find shark's teeth? Where's the nearest pier? Okay, we don't quite know where all of the crossways over the marsh are yet. I'm still training my guys as to where all of that is. But we're getting through the process of hiring local people that know the area. Usually it's, where can I go get lunch? I need a sandwich. I need to get some water to take to the beach, or maybe beer. Whatever the case may be, we try to be helpful and provide the information that people need. When we are out and about, we intend to be very approachable. We're in the mornings, we're out in the parking areas, checking on parking permits, but we're also asking people, did you have any trouble with your permit? Do you need any help? Our people can on the spot help you with a parking permit if you're having a problem. So we want to make sure that we're always there helping, answering the phone, doing whatever we need. Most common problems that we hear from that customer support. I don't like technology and just need a parking permit. Okay, my mom is like that. She really doesn't want to use her smartphone that much. She can answer a phone, but she doesn't want to do an app. But she can call us and get a parking permit, no problem. We have a lot of people that do that on a regular basis. We've got, we call them our regulars. Hi, this is Jim at AutoConnect. Okay, you need a parking permit. What's your phone number or what's your email? Oh, hi, George, you've called before. You just need a parking permit. Which zone are you in? Okay, your credit card's already in the system. You're good to go. Here we are. So we handle those situations very quickly. You're usually on the phone for 1 to 2 minutes tops, maybe a little bit longer the first time you call us, but after that, it's very simple. The second most common issue, phone call, contact. I paid for parking and I got a ticket anyway. Boy, people get upset when that happens. It's just amazing. And usually by the end of the phone call, by the time we figured out that the problem is that they put their license plate in wrong, they're like, oh, I'm sorry. What do we do now? Well, I can see where you paid for your parking permit, so I'm going to void your citation out. And while I'm in here, I'm going to fix your license plate so you don't have this problem next time. Very, very simple approach. Now, we do have a few, quote, frequent flyers. One of my favorite people, Nancy, calls me about once a month on average and says, Jim, I got another parking ticket. I've known Nancy since the beginning of our company. She has a handicap parking permit. She can park anywhere in the handicap for free, but she buys a season permit anyway because she doesn't like all those spots. She likes other spots. Some places are better for shelling. Some places are better for shark's teeth, and that's where she wants to go. So she buys a season permit also. But she has one of those license plates that drives us crazy. And it's really hard to get through some of these. And I won't give you her exact license plate, but it goes something like this. EO30 ST for Save the Turtle, the little ST on the right-hand side. Do you think a scanner can pick that license plate up right? It's wrong every time. The O's and the zeros are swapped. The little ST, sometimes people put it in, sometimes they don't. So we are always on the phone with her, and she's got my personal number at this point in time. Jim, I got another one. Okay, Nancy, I'll take care of it, you know. And we use her license plate to train our people because it is such a difficult license plate to scan. We have them enter it manually every time. So our intent, and my intent with this, is to let you know we're here to help. We are not here to give out parking tickets unless you really deserve it. We want to help you take care of your parking. We want to help the town with a good parking management program that does and meets the requirements set forth in the contours. I'm not used to standing up here. I'm usually sitting back there in the back of the room incognito, listening to all the stuff going on for the last 6 months. And by the way, if anybody wonders, in the back of the room is Marilyn. Stand up. She's part of our enforcement staff and does a lot of training for our enforcement personnel. So she's always going around helping our guys, making sure that things are going right. A managed parking program for Oak Island, having paid parking, does a lot of things. Not the least among them is reducing some of the traffic, providing greater safety for the community, and having us out there enforcing all of the parking regulations in our designated area is really intended to help the community. So, for residents and owners, number one, the 2022 decals, as Mr. Kelly said, have been extended through this calendar year. We are not going to go look for your decals. The town has given us your license plate numbers, and we have put them into our system with a resident label on it. So we know who you are. So when we go scan your tag, it'll just come up and say, yep, you're good. It won't matter whether you're in a decal-only space or in any valid parking space. You're good to go. Mr. Kelly talked about the 3 vehicles per resident owner. Won't get into that, but it does include cars, trucks, LSVs, including the registered golf carts that are classified as an LSV with a license plate, motorcycles. RVs and motorhomes are always a big question for us. We don't mind RVs and motorhomes as long as they fit in a standard parking spot. Don't try to put a 50-foot bus in a regular parking area. We're going to call the police department and ask them to get that out of there. Resident accounts. If you don't have 3 vehicles already in your account, you can use our new account process and add more vehicles up to your limit of 3. For those new accounts, we use an automated system and is using your water utility account number as your authorization code to register in the system as a resident or owner. Whether you have vehicles already in the system or not, if you want to add or change anything, you need to go and set up your account. We will link your authorization code, your water account number, to the town list that they've provided to us and set you up. And if you don't want to do it online, come see us. Give us a call. We'll have hours downstairs that you can come see us, and we'll be glad to set it up for you. Some residents we know do not have a water account number. So this is where we have an exception process, working with the town to identify those addresses, apartments, condos, townhomes, property owners that don't have a water bill. Once we verified them, we issue unique owner codes to be used instead of the water account number. We do not give those to you directly. It's either got to go through the town or through the management company or through the HOA, because we don't have any verification that you are the person that owns it. Everybody else does. So we just provide all that information to them, and then you can get it through them. This is something that we've done in other towns, very effective, very simple. Usually people ask us to give them because, like, sorry, but you have to go through your management company if you're in that situation. Don't dump the water. Okay. This is North Carolina. Parking is first come, first served. Flat out, there's nothing else, full stop. When the parking lots are full, don't try to make a space. We'll give you a ticket. If you park in the right of way, even as Mr. Kelly said, even with a resident permit, season permit, daily permit, hourly permit, doesn't matter. If you park somewhere that you're not supposed to, you're going to get a ticket. Utility account numbers and unique owner codes can only be used one time. If George sets up his account and Phyllis, his wife, tries to set up the account, Phyllis will fail because George already set it up for that resident. Now, Phyllis can get on and log into our system using George's information on her phone instead of his phone, use his information, and she can see all the same stuff. But she cannot set up a separate account. Residents and owners only need to register one time. And once registered, you're done for the season. Just use your registered vehicles and park in a regular spot. You don't have to log in. You don't have to look at anything. You don't have to see what zone you're in. We'll capture that when we check your car. You're done for the season. Number 3, typos happen. Sorry, but they do. And that's one of my favorite stories, but that you've already heard. If you get a parking ticket, just let us know. This last year down at Holden Beach, we had a person who actually lives on the island, bought a season permit. They don't have resident privileges. And the first time she went out, she got a ticket. Called up and was just fuming. Calmed her down, figured out what's going on. Yes, ma'am, you have a season permit, no problem. Let's understand what's going on. Here's the picture that we took of your license plate, but that doesn't match what you put in the system. Oh, I'm sorry. What do we do now? Don't worry about it. We got it. We'll take care of you. We voided the license plate or voided the citation, and we went in and changed your license plate. She is now one of our biggest advocates. She has talked to more people about how simple it was working with us, and we love her. Let me tell you, she's just wonderful. Note 4, changes to the license plates. Allowed only once every 90 days. We put this in place because of people who rent their homes, who wanted to change the license plate on the system every week for every new renter. And no, can't do that. We do have exceptions. George just bought a new car, and they wouldn't allow him to transfer his plate to the new vehicle. So they had to issue him a temporary tag. Okay, George, go in the system and change your temporary tag. Good, you're good to go. 2 weeks later, he gets his regular tag, calls us up. Jim, I got my regular tag. No problem. I can see your temporary tag. We'll put your new one in there. We'll override the system for that case. There's only a few of those situations to come up. Okay, resident decals. I mentioned that we transferred all of the information from the town into our system for resident decals. But not all of the records were complete. And we've all acknowledged that at this point in time. About 20 vehicles, we know decals were issued, but we don't have the license plate number. The state of registration was not always listed in the town records. We could see other information that intimidated that, maybe the license plate was from South Carolina instead of North Carolina. A couple of accounts had more than 3 vehicles when we linked it back to the water account numbers. And there's typos. All of these license plates went through at least three hands involved before they got into our system. You, the resident owner, the town staff, and my staff. Everybody had to enter the license plate number. There are mistakes. North Carolina license plates typically have 3 letters and 4 numbers. Well, if I see one coming through the system that has 3 letters and 5 numbers, I know it's not right. But I don't know what the right one is. So, a very few number of people will end up getting a citation and say, doggone it, Jim, I got a ticket, and I'm a resident, and I'm a registered resident, and this license plate is in there. Fine, don't worry. I'm sure it's just this case where it's a typo. and we'll be glad to work with you. We'll take care of the citation, we'll fix it. This is a simple phone call, it usually takes 2 minutes, and we're done. Resident support. All of that information that has come to my team has just been received. We got the decal information about a month ago, but we got all the water bill account numbers on Monday. It takes us a little bit of time to get that into the system. Our intent is to have all of that information in place before the 15th of March. So if anybody has a question, we will be downstairs here in the town hall between 1 and 4, March 15th, 16th, and 17th. That's a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. If you have any questions, you want to add a vehicle, you want to change a vehicle, you want to update something, please, if you have a question, stop by and see us. Once paid parking starts, then we will be downstairs Monday through Friday from 9 to 4. Same thing, just stop by. Now on the 15th, 16th, and 17th, we will have several people here. Right now, I think I've got 4 or 5 lined up. When we get into the regular time, starting April 3rd, it'll be 1 or 2. On the other hand, you can always call us. Our mainline number, 1497, is active every day from 9 to 5. You can also email us. We're very good at answering, usually within the same day. Parking spaces, Mr. Kelly went through the status of the parking spaces. Town decal spaces are reserved for resident owners, and we will be checking for resident owner status. We've got resident owner labels in our system. We've got visitors, we've got season permit holders, all of those are categorized. When we scan a tag, we know exactly which one it is, which category it's in. So if you're not a resident owner and you park in a decal parking spot, you're gonna get a ticket, even if you paid. You're parking somewhere you shouldn't be. LSV golf carts, there are a few designated areas, specifically Middleton Road beach access and right in front of the pier, where the spaces are not big enough for regular vehicles. Those are the 2 areas that are just LSV golf carts. But you can park an LSV or golf cart in any valid parking space. Don't try to sneak one off into the right of way though. We'll get you. Vehicle plus trailer, there are a few designated areas down by the boat launch towards the west end that has areas for boats and trailers. In Oak Island, only the vehicle, the towing vehicle, truck, SUV, whatever, that has to have a parking permit. The trailer does not. If anybody ever goes to Holden Beach, the trailer also has to have a parking permit in Holden, but not here in Oak Island. And then you've got the general parking, any delineated space with a bumper, et cetera, can be parked in. Resident application flow. Earlier this week, we released the version 3 of our mobile and website application that includes features for Oak Island, even though the Oak Island parking areas and permits are not active yet. You can click on some of the Oak Island information, but you cannot get to a parking permit yet. But here, the flow is pretty straightforward. If you're an existing user, you'll just log in. You get to the Park Community Customer Support page. You can do your resident setup. Your owner authorization code is your water utility account number. Enter up to two license plates at a time. If you want to do 3, then you can come back and do it again, but you can do 2 at a time. And the next step is you pay your $10 per vehicle that you registered. You can do just 1, you can do 2, you can come back and do a 3rd. If you're a new user, the first time, then you go through the create account process and the same flow. Visitor parking permits, hour, daily, or weekly permits per vehicle using the mobile app. The QR code that's on the parking signs will get you to our website. You can log into the website directly, or you can call us via the phone. Again, Mr. Kelly went through the rates. Right now, today, we take credit card, debit card, and PayPal. We've got our Apple Pay and Google Pay process in flight right now, so it will be added probably before April 1st when this comes online. We don't have it right now for the system. Visitor season permits, again, this was, as per Mr. Kelly, limited to 1,000 units, first come, first served, 175 per vehicle. So, because the town council has limited season permits to 1,000 units, we are not allowing people to buy them on the app. It is not practical for us to maintain control of those permit purchases that way. So, starting March 15th, 16th, and 17th, we will be here in Town Hall in person from 9 to noon. Allowing people to come in and purchase their season permits as a visitor, or anybody. If a resident wants more than their 3 vehicles and wants a 4th one, they want a season permit, come join us. We are only allowing 200 units per day to be sold. We're going to spread it out to allow greater flexibility for people to make sure they have a chance to buy it. On March 20th and 21st, the Monday and Tuesday following, we will allow people to buy permits over the phone. We know that this is Southeast North Carolina, and we have visitors from all over the country. And some of them may have a home in Leland, but they live in New Jersey this time of year. And they want to call in and buy a permit. We need to give them that opportunity as well. So that's the process. Our intent is our assumption is we will sell all 1,000 units over those 5 days. If we don't, by chance, then we will open it up on the app for anybody else that wants to buy one. And then there's the normal things that you have to have in order to purchase and get registered. Visitor permits, some notes here. Again, that message, first come, first served. Even if you have a season permit, there's no guarantee for a reserved spot. There are no reserved spots except for those for town decals. And even those, once those are filled up, you get to park anywhere else. Visitors have to start with everywhere else. A person with a season permit, like a resident, once they have that permit, if they use that vehicle, they don't have to log in or do anything else when they come to park. Don't have to put in their zone, don't have to put in their credit card or do anything else. They just come park because their license plate is already in our system with a season permit, and we're good to go. Can they change from zone to zone? Sure. Anybody can move from zone to zone within the time duration of the permit. If you buy a 2-hour permit, you want to start at the east end, you want to move to the west end, yeah, go ahead. As long as your permit is valid, we don't care. We do track zone numbers for utilization. We report that to the town staff so that they can see where people are parking. With the residents, because you don't have to put that in, we capture that information when we scan your tag. For people that buy for an hour, and they say, hey, man, I really want to stay a couple more hours, it's a beautiful day. The max that they have to pay is $20, that $20 rate. So you can buy an hour. And you can extend the time to a second hour. Or you can extend the time for a third or fourth. Well, by the time you get to fourth, you're at $20. You can't extend it beyond that because you're already paid for the day. You're good to go. This year we've added, one of our features that we've added is a fast pass to purchase a parking permit. One of the complaints that we've had in the past was for visitors who didn't want to go through the whole account setup and do everything else. So we created this, hey, you want to click on Fast Pass, fill in your information, pay, you're good to go. We need a phone number, a zip code, where you're parked, the zone number, how long you're going to stay, and what your license plate number is. Done. You're all set. Okay, with the payment side, you got to put a credit card in there, but you got to pay me somehow. Similar to residents, visitors can create an account. This allows them to have all of their information saved in our system. So if they are a frequent visitor and they want to come every Saturday, they don't want to put everything in the system over and over again. This allows them to put it all in there once. The next time, where the green arrow is on the bottom, you start there, you park, say, hey, I'm going to use the same vehicle. Don't even have to type in the license plate, just touch it. Figure out where you're at, pay for it, and you're done. And this is where it says season permit purchase. That will not be enabled for Oak Island because of my previous discussion. We're going to manage that separately. Okay, enforcement. This is where I get show and tell. Oh. Too much weight.
Hatton, can you help me?
Got it, okay. There we go. So this is what you're going to see when we're out there. I think it's officially called safety green. It's highlighter yellow. Come on. Just call it what it really is. Surfcast logo, parking support. We want to be very recognizable for people to see us wherever we are. We roam. We go from space to space, lot to lot to lot. We're never in one place all the time. Mornings, we tend to be in the high volume areas that we can help. The rest of the day, we're checking parking lots, checking the side streets, checking the right-of-ways, checking wherever. We do the enforcement by scanning license plates. We've got a couple of ALPR, automated license plate reader technologies. When all that fails, we sit there and type in your license plate by thumbs. We will check all of the designated areas for active parking permits, including the resident-only areas. We do it with license plate. We don't check for your old decal. All of the parking areas are treated equally. We've talked about that. Our enforcement personnel do not have any information other than valid permit or take action and issue a parking ticket. They don't know what the start and stop time is. They can't tell that your parking permit expires in 5 minutes. They don't know. It takes any perception of stalking out of the equation. I mean, sometimes you see somebody that's standing there saying, hey, I know that meter's gonna run out in 2 minutes. I'm gonna stand here and wait for it to run out and I'm gonna give them a ticket. Aha. Can't do that. We cannot do that. We are gracious in that we give you an extra 15 minutes. If your permit ends at 2 o'clock, that enforcement person at 2:05 still sees that you have a good permit. That permit or that session doesn't go bad until 2:15. So we give you 15 minutes. So, yeah. And we know what happens. Mom and dad are at the beach and going, it's 2 o'clock, our permit's up. Get the kids. Where are the kids? Somewhere else, in the water. It takes a little while to pack everything up and get them up in the car. So we give you a break there. Yes, we are hiring. If anybody knows seniors in high school, college kids, yourselves, people that like to be outside, like to interact with people, somebody who's personable. Okay, you might have to put up with a couple of tough characters once in a while, but that's what we have the police department for. When we get into those situations, and I'll put this simply, last year we called our police departments 5 times, and that was all. One was parked in front of a fire hydrant. We gave them a ticket. Police department came out and towed it. Second time, we had a fight going on in a parking lot. It's like, we pay attention to these things. We don't want that stuff to happen. We don't want to get involved, but we want to get the right people involved. We've called the police department for a missing child. A frantic mom was running around. Okay, our guys ended up chasing the kid through the parking lot, capturing him first. But we help. And we've done, we keep track of where these situations are occurring and make sure that we communicate that to the town staff, the police chief, whoever's on call that day. All of our people have the phone numbers for the police, the phone numbers for the emergency crews, even the fire department. We keep track of all that. So because we're out there and we see things, yes, we have had a couple of situations where intoxicated, belligerent people are coming up off the beach and going to get in their car. Not a good situation. We don't want them driving down the road, and we have called the police and intercepted those situations. So we do worry about those cases. And hopefully it's rare, and gladly it is rare. Out of the hundreds of thousands of cars that we've scanned, handful of special situations we've had to deal with. Enforcement ordinances. We are responsible for all of the parking areas, designated parking areas, and all of the side street enforcement south of Oak Island, east of 40th, and south of the Marsh, west of 40th, for what we call no zone parking violations. No zone meaning it's not a designated parking zone. These are all of the violations as spelled out in the ordinances as was recently approved by the town council. We do have a couple of exceptions that we recognize, especially for contractors. When people are doing work on a home, if they are in the right-of-way within the boundary of that home, and it's obvious that they're doing work, great, we leave them alone. But if they have two tires on the street, we're going to be after them. Now, in most cases, we're able to go find them and ask them to move the car and get it out of the path of the roadway surface. Fines is determined by the town or is approved by the town. If you're in a designated parking area and you get a violation because you just didn't bother to buy a ticket or buy a permit, if you pay your fine today, same day, you get a discount rate of $25. If you wait till tomorrow, it's $50. That is the standard violation for all of the other violations as well. If not paid within 30 days, it goes to 75, and after 60 days, we submit it to collections. There is a $250 fine for special violations, which on the previous page is the, blocking a fire hydrant, fire lane, emergency access, parking in the designated handicap space without proper license plate or hang tag. That was the other one that we've called police for. And we've only ever done that twice in my history, and both times it was because the owner of the vehicle just forgot to put their hang tag up, and we had to track them down. And it turned out to be not a problem, but we didn't know that. Financial relationship with the town. We do this real simple. It's an all-inclusive percent of revenue fee structure. So I'm sure everybody here knows that we keep 30% of whatever we collect, and we pay to the town 70%. If there's no buddy parking and no revenue, neither one of us gets paid. There's no fixed cost that we charge the town. It is all variable based on traffic. So that gives us incentive to create a good parking experience for visitors who are going to pay, who come to this town and want to come back and pay again. As Mr. Kelly said, there was a budget line item for paid parking. It was setting up the parking lots, stuff that the town is responsible for anyway. There's no meters, no kiosks, everything is done, mobile app, website, on the phone. Keep it simple. The other value in that is that you don't have meters and kiosks that corrode and die in our salt air environment. We do keep track of on versus off-street isolation. As you may have heard from some of the previous meetings, North Carolina legislation requires the town to use that money differently. If it's generated on-street or generated off-street. If it's in a lot, that money can be used for anything in the town budget. If it's on-street parking, the money that's generated for the town can only be used for parking enforcement, parking lot maintenance, upgrades, et cetera, et cetera. There is legislation in the state that you can go apply for an exception to that allows even that money to be used for the general fund. And I believe that the town council is moving forward with that. Other towns in the coastal area, Wrightsville, Surf City, they already have that exception. Holden is applying for it as well. So it's a fairly innocuous process, but it has to go through the process to get that exception. One of the other ads that we've added redundant there. One of the other features that we've added to our application and our mobile app is what we call Community Cast. CAST is the name of our product set: communication, activity, scheduling, and teams. Gotta think. So it's really intended to be a way of communicating within a given area or community. What we've done with our application is added links to town events, schedules, points of interest, local shopping, local restaurants, beach information such as riptides, town rules, and we're adding more as we go. So all of that right now is active in our application for Oak Island as well as the other towns that we support. And we will continue to upgrade that as we go. Is my time up? I thought maybe that was it. And this is how you get to it from the park page. The next button down is community. For some reason on this slide, the town names all disappeared, but one of them is Oak Island. And it gives you the current list of shopping, eating, events, weather, tide chart, town rules, etc. This is really geared towards visitors, really to give them information about what's available in the area, especially with local establishments for shopping, eating, and making sure that they've got the links to the town website for general rules and information. Oops. Additional information can be found on our website, details on our parking program, specifics associated with Oak Island, and the same thing with Auto Connect. So in summary, didn't take me quite an hour, but to net it out, this is what you need to walk away with. Resident owner privileges, your decals are grandfathered for this year. You can input a new account, $10 per vehicle. Use your water bill account number. Residents can park in any designated space, not just decal space. Parking rates for visitors as listed. Parking periods, dates, times of day, April 1st to September 30th. Yes, we know there's a mistake on the sign and we're fixing it. For anybody that's out there that saw that. 9 to 5 a.m. Designated parking areas are as determined by the town staff. Ordinance updates as approved by council. Enforcement, we've talked about designated parking areas and specific side streets for no zone ordinance violations. So my goal was to educate you and hopefully answer 99% of any questions you might have, but I know there's always more. So at this point, turn it however you want to handle the questions.
I think Lisa had a list of things.
I have a sign-up sheet.
Okay?
Gail Baker. Yes, please, yeah. If you all can just share the podium back and forth, that'd be great.
Hi, my name's Gail Baker. I live at 110 Northeast 16th Street. And I have a question concerning the resident parking. My question is, we're already set up for resident parking this year in 2023. However, Auto Connect has the contract for 2 years. So what happens in year 2 as far as the resident spots? Are those going to go away and we'll have to maneuver that? Or are we going to keep resident spots, also be able to park in any spot? And what is the price going to be?
Well, let me answer part of that question. I'll defer the other part to Mr. Kelly. The first part of the question was related to how is our system going to handle it for the second year? At the end of this year, first of next year, you will have to go back into the app and re-register as a resident and pay whatever the rate is per car at that point in time. So it will be a fairly simple process at that point in time. Because there is a fee charged per car per year, you'll have to go register, but your information will be in the app, in the system. You'll go in and say, I want these 3 cars re-registered, and go pay your $30 or whatever the rates are, and you'll be all set for next year. The other part, I'll turn it over to
take the
Mr.
other
Kelly.
So for next year's, it's just like the taxes or fee schedules set every year. Council in the contract, they will go back and will review. We've asked Jim to keep up with the data, see where people park, how many local people are parking where, and those kind of things. And council will look at those numbers to determine what the rates or additional spots that we see during the year that we can add. We'll still be adding spots. There is no cap on spots that we're trying to get to this year, but we want to keep growing the number of spots we're able to and look at the residential as well. But every year, council will have to review where we are currently, and then they will set the rates for the next year and the number of vehicles. They may change it to 4 vehicles, 2 vehicles, 1 LSV, doesn't matter. Those are things that they're going to have to review after every year after we get the data back from Jim to see what happened during the year that we're currently in.
But
So-
the contract is for 2 years, though.
Yes, the
So
contracts,
we're not in any way locked in as residents of Oak Island during those 2 years.
no, the fee is set every year, just like your water rate, tax rate. So those rates and fees will be adjusted every year in probably January during the retreat times when council looks at fee schedules. And then once they establish a fee schedule for the next budget year. But now, since we have paid parking and it starts in April, they'll be setting the rates in January of next year, of '24. So there is no lock-in. You were locking in the contract for the 70-30 split currently with auto.
Yeah, I don't like the answer, but okay.
I understand.
Edwards?
Is this a standard 3-minute rule here?
Well, this is for questions, not comments, so I didn't put a
Okay.
3-minute rule on it.
Well, I've got a comment and then I've got 2 questions, and I was a little bit disappointed that it didn't say it in the meeting notice that the questions would be limited to the parking vendor, but I guess the question I've got, or the 2 questions, is during the run-up to the vote on the paid parking, the term was kind of thrown around that residents would park for free. And it doesn't appear that that's what we've got going on here. You're going to charge the residents $10 per vehicle for every year. You know, and the term was thrown around that there were something like 70-something hundred decals out there. And at $10 a piece, let's just say 7,000, that's $70,000. 2 vehicles, that's $140,000. You're charging residents to park, whether you charge it in a fee or what. And, you know, I just had to question, another question I had is, why is there no delineation between residents and people that own a lot here that live in Laurinburg or somewhere? I've got my car registration here. Everybody seen these on here? It says Oak Island for this particular car of mine, $104.55 is the tax I pay on my car. Well, the people that live over in Laurinburg or somewhere, they don't pay any tax to Oak Island. So why is there, I'd like to ask, really this was for Mr. Martin or Mr. Bach, but why is there no delineation between people that live here, pay taxes here, and the people that are somewhere else that just come here and pay their taxes? Some of them don't even pay the taxes to a town. If they don't live in a municipality, they don't pay any tax to a town. So, you know, that's my main question is the term was thrown around that residents would park for free, but it's not free. the town's gonna be getting upwards of, probably a couple of hundred, $150,000, $200,000 from residents. And that's my main question. All municipalities that have paid parking don't charge residents. Some do. The city of Myrtle Beach, is a pretty big city, they don't charge their residents anything. So that's my question and my comment. And Madam Mayor, I understand if y'all aren't answering questions, I'll shoot it to you in an email and maybe you can respond that way. But it doesn't seem right, and I don't understand why it seems like a money grab for some of these entities that we've got, like the event center and the golf course over there that are losing money. It's a money grab from residents to try to pay for some of this stuff that we don't need.
Chip Frazier.
You want to take that, or we just move on?
It doesn't matter. I mean, I can answer
Sorry,
some
that was
of
just
it.
going on.
I can't answer for y'all. I mean, I can say what was discussed, but I can't answer for them.
Yeah, it sounded like that was not
So-
directed at me anyway, so.
Yeah. Well, during the delineations and discussions that council had, some of your topics did come up about what to do about a true local or a person that does have property here that doesn't have their vehicle registered here. So council looked at that. They looked at the current passes were for 2 years, and they wanted to honor those. And I know that people did start saying free parking at that point, but it was only what the free parking is. It consisted of the decal parking that expired at 2023 in December 31st. So the people that had already purchased those last year that were using them again this year, there was no additional fees to be charged to those people to continue to use that. So I understand what you're saying about the word free. So what we did is we continued that $10 program for each vehicle the same way if we would continue the decal parking. That's the way it was. If the council chose to do that again next year instead of paid parking, if they continued to carry on the decal, it would have been a fee back of $10 or whatever council chose to do at that point. As far as looking forward to see what council's going to do, during our discussions, it was always discussed that this year we were looking at things and we were doing a transition period, and we could always adjust with Jim in the contract to see if we needed to add things or take things away or add spots or look at different fees or those kind of things as we go. And I think this council is still doing that as we're going forward and still listening to the comments from the public. But this meeting was really for Jim to come out to explain how the process was going to go on so we can start getting people signed up, get people registered, and get the program ready to go online on April 1st. But you always have the 3 minutes at the March meeting to make a comment.
Okay, no, sorry. Chip Frazier.
Chip Frazier, 706 West Dolphin. Mr. Varner, what steps has AutoConnect taken to ensure survivability of your system? In other words, do you have servers locally, servers at other locations, hurricane-prone area? So where is your main hardware located, and do you have a backup already established?
Yeah, our servers, everybody can hear me with this? Okay. We use Amazon Web Services for our server farm. We have a primary location, I believe, in New Jersey, and a secondary location, I believe it's in Ohio, so that we do have that kind of survivability. We largely use AT&T, which has better coverage in the coastal environment for our networking. And the only other real vendor that we use is Braintree, which is a PayPal company that does all of our payment processing.
Okay.
So we don't keep that in-house either. So all those critical services are outside of the local area.
And I had one second, or a second question, and that is with respect to security of personal information that you collect, how is that protected? How is that secured?
All of our database is what we use the gold standard of security, which is AES 256 encryption. That is all done in AWS. Our company used to work for a group called Security First Corporation that provided data security solutions for IBM and for the federal government. So we are very well versed in PII, personal identifiable information, and data security technologies. And I hate to say it in these terms, but we're very anal about it. We don't want a data breach. We don't want anybody's personal information. It's all segregated. When we do get too much information, we work with the people that provide that information to make sure it's deleted and cleared off. So we keep only the bare information that we need. Things like credit cards, numbers. We do not keep your credit card numbers in our system. That is only done through our payment service with Braintree. So we keep your phone number, your name, your license plate numbers.
Thank you.
Okay?
Mariah Brazil?
Good evening, y'all. My name is Mariah Brazil. I live at 113 Southeast 15th Street. I have one question and I need a clarification. First off, I was really excited to hear how community service oriented and customer service oriented your group appears to be based on what you've said this evening. On the slides that we were watching, you had mentioned 3 vehicles per property owner. Is that per property owner or per property? In other words, if I own 3 properties, do I get 9
It is per property.
per property?
Now, it goes both ways. If you own 3 properties, you can register for each property separately. If you have multiple owners in one property, you've got to figure out how you're going to manage that within the owners.
Okay, great. The second thing, I was also really excited to hear that you were interested in suggestions and improvements and things like that. So you may already have this. I co-host several short-term rental properties where the homeowner provides either for an additional charge or as an amenity golf carts to their guests. The problem lies in if a guest simply doesn't care because they're not the one that's going to get the ticket where they park. And my understanding is it's just going to be a paper ticket on the window. Okay. So the owner, via Airbnb regulations or VRBO regulations, they have 14 days to file a claim against a departing guest. At day 15, the owner is the one holding the bag. Can you guys think along the lines of a way to notify either the property owner or his or her property manager that a guest has received a ticket? Because the property owner being left holding the bag at day 15, that doesn't seem very fair or very just. Because, people are
Right.
dumb. They're going to do what they're going to do.
Great question, and not one that I addressed in my presentation. We have a system in place, and we do this with rental cart companies, where they provide us with their list of license plates for all of their rentals. And when one of those gets a ticket, it kicks off a notification to the rental car company immediately.
Great.
So while we have not had the request from an Airbnb or VRBO kind of situation, we could certainly add that into our capability.
Would that be a situation where I can come and talk with you guys in, March 15th, 16th, 17th? And try to get
I'm
that
not
set
sure
up?
that we'll quite be ready for that part of it at that point in time, but definitely reach out to us via email.
Okay.
And my staff will get that request to me personally while we're setting that up for this calendar year. We've got 2 rental companies that we service with Holden, We've already got one up here in Southport that has contacted us because their primary business is oak, and we're starting to work with them. So it'll be an ongoing process here for about another month or two to get that fully implemented for Oak Island.
Fabulous. Great answers. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
Glad you brought it up. I forgot about that one.
Edward Lovett.
Edward Lovett, 139 Northeast 36. I'm not sure if it's a question or a request. At the corner of East Beach and 19th Place East is Seabiscuit Wildlife Rescue. They have volunteers that come in from 8 to 10 in the morning and 4 to 6 in the afternoon. Is it possible that we could have 3, maybe 4 designated spots? Currently, it's public parking. I would like for them to be able to offer spaces to their volunteers, to be able to get in there and not have to pay. And I don't know the best way that you guys can work with that, but can you find some solutions so that their their volunteers do not have to pay to come in and volunteer and help out with that?
Okay, so we have different groups as well. We also have sea turtles, turtle group. We also have beach ambassadors.
And beach preservation
yes, sir.
and Davis Canal Marsh Cleaners?
Yep, so we'll be working with those groups. We've been talking about, Jim, trying to come up with a placard or something that we can identify these vehicles with. Beach ambassadors, they can give us a timetable of what zones are being cleaned. They have beach sweeps and those kind of things, so we still want those things to happen. But we're gonna have to, changing out license tags is not an option I didn't think we could come up with. But some design of a placard that Jim could agree with and the town could agree with, that either they would hang in the front or back. They'd have to put it where it'd be visible to the people in the parking lot. But on that, that is what we're looking at to be able to do it for those groups.
And
So
4 to 10
adding that
placards
in
per
about
group?
her, that would be a good thing. And honestly, that is the only sign that people have stolen was from that location so far out of the parking
I heard
lot.
about that the other day.
So that is the only one we're missing. So if anybody sees that sign out there, we'd appreciate it back. But we do understand. I'm glad you brought that to our attention about her because we can add her to the list.
Awesome, thank you.
And just to follow up, we do have a template for that placard that we use for turtle patrols. And we're glad to follow up with you on that one.
Yeah, because we have amazing volunteers in our village, and they need to be protected so that they can keep protecting the village. The other question I have is, are you planning on putting in additional yellow curbs?
Yellow bumpers? Yes, we sort of went over where we're at currently on that. We're still increasing those, and we'll be increasing those through the year. We're also looking to increase in the resident parking locations as well. But that will be an ongoing process, and I don't know if we'll be updating it monthly or something online, but as we go through, Jim will have, if you're parked at First Street West, it's going to say how many spots are there. So we can update that along with Jim to keep that active, to be able to see how many spots are being added on some of the place streets. We've actually gone up the place street now, up to Dolphin and Pelican. So we're always looking at putting some spots, but we're also having to talk to the residents in those areas that have driveways and things to make sure we don't block anything off of theirs. But we will continue to add spots throughout the town.
No, I would specifically like you to look at the design of those curbs. If you're adding more, I've personally carried 7 of them out of the Davis Canal.
Oh, yes.
That ECS carried over. And it's great that they're movable, but
Yeah.
I don't want to have to go pick up any more of them. So some design that could be really good so they can stay in place, but also be functional, movable at a later date.
Well, some of them say angle spikes or straight spikes or a spike with a tip on the end of it. But what we've seen over the years, the plastic ones that we have now, the recycled plastic ones, they're if they go underwater, they're eventually going to wobble and come out. But last year, since we had areas that got washed into the parking lots, we've gone back and we moved those over 3 to 6 inches to try to put it in new stone. And now that we have the grader, we're grading off the lots, trying to put those in new stone each year. But some of them are gonna break loose and float away, like you said.
That's
But there's
okay, we'll
nothing.
go get them.
Concrete would stay, but the expense on those are different. So the plastic ones are ones we're still looking at.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Christina Dooley?
Christina Dooley, I live on the West End. I have a couple questions about the public right-of-way and the restriction on the no-zone parking. So my understanding is there is no public right-of-way parking anymore, townwide. Is that true, David?
That is what this council voted on. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so what is the public right-of-way measurement?
So it varies through town.
Sure.
But basically, it's from the property property from the north side of the street over to the property on the south side of the street. 50 foot, 60 foot is what we have. DOT's 180, 110 in certain sections. So they do vary. The people say you should be able to measure from the middle of the road. Our roads ain't always in the middle of the road. Survey irons, people's property corners, if you can get one of those, measure 50 feet back across the road, then you can sort of see what that is. Some people say it's 10 foot off edge of pavement, 12 foot off edge of pavement, but it really varies street to street.
Okay, so for example, I called Development Services and told them where I lived, and they told me it would be 30 feet from the center of my road. So I took my measuring tape and I went to my road, and my road is 19 feet across. So that's whatever that is, right? 9.5 or whatever, I'm not good at math. Anyway, I took my little rolly measuring tape, I didn't do it in my head. I took my little rolly measuring tape and I backed it out, right? And I went 30 feet. So that's 21 feet off of my property that is considered now public right-of-way for no parking. Is that accurate? Based on what I was told by Development Services?
So I don't know about where you live. or
Right,
what
I
you
know. I live in the
I
wooded
just
section
know
on the west end, roughly.
That from the edge of the pavement to people's property lines are going to vary on no matter what street you're on.
I understand.
That if it is off, so if you park with your tires on the roadway, then Jim's going to give you a ticket for parking on the road. If you're parked in the right of way without a yellow bumper, Jim's going to give you a ticket for parking in the right of way.
So I live in the wooded section. There are no yellow bumpers anywhere on my street. So that tells me that there is no one will be allowed to park anywhere on the side of my street.
The way the ordinance is written right now, from the hours of 9 to 5, that is when that would be monitored
From
by,
April to September.
and that would be from the police department in the wooded section.
The other times of year, public right-of-way is allowed to be parked in.
The town adopted an ordinance.
I understand,
that says-
I get that,
that
just yes
says
or no.
24 hours, so
I'm sorry?
it says that you cannot park for a length greater than 24 hours.
Sure, okay. So I have essentially on mine, because like I said, I called Development Service, they told me it was 30 feet from the center of the road. I have measured that off, that's 21 feet of my property I have lost, that no one can park it, including me, with a sticker or otherwise, right? So because that's a no zone. So even if I have my town sticker and don't park in my driveway, and I let my friend park in my driveway because they don't have a sticker, and I put my sticker in my yard, in that public right-of-way, I can still get a ticket.
If you were parked in the right of way, you would receive the ticket.
Okay, so okay, so I understand that they vary, I get that, blah, blah, blah. I have just lost 21 feet of property ownership. I used to mow, hang on.
Never have.
I have lost the use of 21 feet of my property. I own it, I can't use it. My friends can't use it. If I use it, I'll get a ticket during whatever, right? Am I misinterpreting what you're telling me?
No, you keep saying the right thing.
Okay,
You would
okay,
get a ticket.
okay.
So
So
you would get
now,
a ticket if
so
you're
I
in the
have
road.
measured, and, sorry?
Except that the public right-of-way is not your property. That has.
Okay,
al- that
I'm not
has-
going to go
that-
there with
that-
you legally.
that-
I'm
that
not going
has
to go there with you
always been
legally.
town
Whoa, back
property.
up. I'm not going to go there with you legally. I'm sticking with this. Okay, so I have mowed that 21 feet I have dug out my culvert when it fills up, even though the town owns that culvert. I have dug that out when it fills up with water. I've cut down the tree that fell because that culvert dug up and blah, 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 filled up. I'm not gonna do that anymore. Because I no longer have the use of that property freely. So I'm asking if that was the intention. Was that the intention of, and I know I can't ask the town council because they're not replying to questions tonight, so I'm just gonna leave you with that on that particular one.
So I know in the meeting tonight, it talked about on March 14th. we would
I
be
know, so
discussing the
like I
right-of-way.
said, I'm just gonna leave you all
Just wanted you to have that,
with
make
that.
sure.
Okay, I have a couple of other questions. On the 801 Event Center, you're gonna give people some time according to their contract, which is great, right? I have a 3-hour wedding or whatever. I'm gonna get to use that for 3 hours. All of my guests are gonna have to bring their license plates with them, right? And tell someone at the thing, and then someone at my event is gonna have to add their license plates to the
No, ma'am.
system? Okay, good, okay, good.
So in that area, with the 604 parking lot that we have and in front of the pier and at Barbie Boulevard during those times, same thing we do for the events that we have behind, it'll be blocked out for no parking. So there will be no fee for parking during that time. If you pull that up and you do the QR code, or you call them, or you do any other method that's available, it'll tell you at that time, there is no fee to park at that spot.
Okay, anyone, regardless of whether I'm actually at this wedding or not. Okay, great, I get that. Okay, and then where are we on the local law? Do we know how long the local law is gonna take to get through the legislature to allow for this parking profit to go toward, in theory, all of the things we want it to go toward?
So last week, we went to Raleigh. We met with Representative Miller. We discussed that. We have turned in our paperwork to them. We've discussed it with the analysts for the legislators. They have that, and it should be on the docket, they said, within 15 to 30 days.
Great, and we're assuming automatic approval, essentially.
I mean, they have never denied one from anybody else.
Okay, so before the season hits, we should be allowed to start using any profit this season for all the things we imagine it to be used for.
So as we are collecting revenues, as we go through, Mr. Hatton has set up 2 different accounts that accounts for those dollars. And as that goes, once we get the on and off road statement from the legislation, then Mr. Hatton can combine those 2 programs to be able to work together.
Okay.
But those dollars will be kept separate until that is approved, and that should be before the end of this year, June 30th.
Okay, great, thank you so much.
That was the end of the list.
Is there anyone else that would like to ask a question?
I would. Paul Wolf, 55th Street. What's the plan for boat ramp parking at Blue Water Marina and at 55th Street?
So he went through that. At 57th Street, there'll be a charge to park. There is not a fee for the trailer. There'll be only one for the vehicle.
At 57th Street?
At 57th Place West, we have another boat ramp there that is inside his parking area. If you're talking about the ones on Yacht, there is no fee for that this year. That is free parking.
Okay. And what about right-of-way?
The right-of-way that she just went, so,
But right-of-way for a boat ramp, I mean, that's 90% of the parking is,
yes, if you are
You're gonna
parked in the
tow 'em?
right-of-way, if you are parked in the right-of-way, they will issue a ticket.
okay. One other question. So the right-of-way goes basically up to your property line where there's either a metal stake or a wood stake. Most people know where they are because when they just bought a house. So in your driveway, because the driveway crosses over the right-of-way, if you park in your driveway but you're on the right-of-way area, is that not allowed?
There is no ticket or anything like that. You can access your driveway from the roadway.
But what
to
if
get to your
you're
property.
parked on your driveway in the right-of-way?
They will not give you a ticket for that.
Okay.
So we just let everybody get up.
Name's Rich Kipke. Live
Could
at
you speak up,
326
please?
Northeast 46.
I can't hear anything.
Oh, can you hear now?
Just lean in a little.
My question is, you didn't specifically address the mobility devices, the golf carts, but yet you're saying if we have that handicap registration, we have to have the placard. One of the problems with that is the placard gets stolen from the car. And what we've been doing, and everybody that has a mobility device registration, you take your placard with your application and they verify the names match. And then we get a sticker that we put on a triangle that's required on the back of our golf cart, that sticker. So why do we need the placard if we're gonna go to the beach?
So we were looking at a way to be able to register those. Because you went next door to the police station and got your mobility device inspected and they gave you the sticker. We can work with the chief to get that registration from him, to be able to get that to Jim, and then we
Right.
can get you covered on what you were asking.
Okay, and now is that process for the mobility devices gonna remain the same with the city, or is that gonna be transferred to him next year?
Right now, it's remaining with the city.
There's no license tag on the cart.
No, but there
No.
will be a sticker that will.
The triangle with the
will be
sticker.
triangle sticker that will, and we've been working, We've been working with David Kelly here to make sure that we understand what the unique circumstances are with that so that we can easily identify those vehicles and where they are allowed to park.
I mean, we got that sticker, but, I mean, we don't wanna take our placard and potentially have it taken.
Agreed.
But
We
yet
don't
the-
want you
but-
to either.
But yet
We
the
don't
law
want you-
says you have to have a placard. So,
Does the sticker have a number on it?
yes,
Okay. If we can have the number from the police department when they register the mobility
there are
device.
two-digit numbers. They start at 01 and go to wherever.
Yeah,
And
then
I
we can
think
get
there's
that to
only about
Jim, and
50
then Jim can get you registered.
There's only about 50 mobility carts. Now, my wife and I each have a mobility cart because we're both handicapped. And we were able to get stickers to put on our cars, which means we needed 4, not 3. So what I'd like to propose is that if you have more than one mobility device registered with the city, that you can get one additional parking pass. Because if I go down to the pier and all I have is my handicap, I can't park. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. And we'll have, council can address that on the March meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Kelly, Mr. Varner. I live at 414 Montgomery Street. I want to clarify the HOA. That's Yopon Village condos, and I don't have a water bill per se. So will one of our board members of the HOA contact you guys for the unique number for everyone, or?
We depend on the town to identify the addresses for each one of those units. We supply that unique owner code
To them?
to either the town or to the management company or HOA that they designate.
Okay, at this point, I think our management of the HOA doesn't have a clue what's happening here. So that's what I'm saying. I will get with.
So if you prefer it be the president of the HOA, then we can do it with them.
Yeah, good. All right.
And, you know, and traditionally what we do is we monitor those with the HOA, so as units turn over, they can't reuse that number.
Well, I know a lot of the
Have to
residents.
issue a new one.
Excuse me. I know a lot of residents right now doesn't even have a sticker. So that's what they're going to have to get one. So, yeah, but I thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, Mayor.
So I'm Nancy Burgard. I live at 114 Southeast 61st Street. Just had a question. See that you have good security protocols in place for data breach, but what if there is a data breach? Is there an incident response team? Has that been played out? And does the town have cyber insurance to cover any kind of breaches where if they have to do notifications and any kind of credit monitoring?
My company carries its own cyber insurance
Great.
for that situation. Our response team is a highly trained security expert that's in our team. He happens to live out in Utah and knows it inside and out. So we know how to respond to that. We are very well versed in the notification laws, both to the town and to the individuals and what actions they need to take to protect themselves in such a case.
Thank you.
Hello, good evening. Bob Chulo, 163 Northeast 3rd Street. So the parking violation is $50, but the same-day violation payment is 50% less than that, right? So it's a 25% fee. So I would submit that human nature being what it is, that a lot of tourists are just going to roll the dice and say, do I pay $20 ahead of time, or do I take a chance that they're not going to catch me? Because the worst thing that's going to happen to me, it's going to cost me $5 more. So instead of $25, perhaps $35 or $40, just raise it a little bit so you take away that point of indifference.
Great question, and we've had that situation come up. Our system only allows somebody to do that 3 times per license plate. So you might try to get away with it a couple times, but once you've paid through that process 3 times, you can't do it anymore. It goes straight to 50. We have never had anybody use the same day violation payment twice out of 3 years that we've had that feature in our system. We've never had anybody hit that three-time limit. So nobody's tried to abuse it, thankfully, but we do have safeguard just in case.
Perfect, thank you.
How you doing? Matt Locks, I live over on Northeast 64th Street. We're predominantly full-time residents over there. So we all know each other. We're there all the time. We're at the beach every weekend. So my question is, a lot of times since we know each other, when we park nose in with the golf cart, because you can take up 2 spaces or 1 space with 2 golf carts, sometimes 3, depending. Is that going to be allowed? If it's not allowed, you're going to take, there's a lot of us go to the beach on the weekends, the full-time residents. If you take that away, you're going to take away a lot of our parking, which means you take away my beach access, which is why I built my house where I built it.
Right now, it's one vehicle per spot. So that would be 1 golf cart, because some of the golf carts are longer, shorter, whatever they are. But that is what the plan is, and that's what was adopted right now, is 1 vehicle per spot.
Okay, but you understand you're taking away, if you have, I don't know how many spots are down. I haven't been down in a while because it has been warm on Saturdays, but I don't know how many spots were there. It was loaded all last summer and the summer before with everybody nose in. So if there's 10 spaces down there, we've gone from probably 30 or 40 golf carts to 10. You've taken away all of our beach access. If I don't get down there at 9 o'clock in the morning, I'm not going to the beach.
But we can't say that we're going to allow 2 golf carts for every spot, because nothing's the same length or the same thing. If they are parking with their rear out, then, but the spots are only 10 feet wide.
2 golf carts easily fit side by side.
You can nose in 2 golf carts like this.
Yes, you may be able to do it correctly, but somebody coming down here that's rented the unit, they are just going to go park in that spot. And that is what we've seen, and that's what we have seen other places when we talk to other towns. I understand what y'all are asking, but and we're glad that y'all do that, but there's no way for us to monitor or have Jim sit there and monitor, well, this golf cart's half in this spot and half in that spot. So we're not utilizing that.
Since you indicated that the rate follows the license plate, it doesn't matter where the spot is. Why is that an issue if you got 2 registrations on 1 parcel?
But if he has parked 2 of them and he's bleeding over a quarter into another spot, then that spot's not usable anymore, because no one can park in that spot. We don't have lines to keep you within those areas. We have parking bumpers.
I'm talking so our access is on-street parking. So the bumpers are, so the parking, you have to park parallel to the road. So the golf carts, instead of parking parallel to the road between the bumpers, we park nose in. So you're eliminating a lot of parking. Well, all I'm trying to say is there's a lot of, we have our own Facebook page. Pretty much everybody's there. We're visiting the restaurants in December and January and February when all the visitors are gone, and you're taking our parking away. I'm gonna have to walk to the beach now, or I'm gonna have to drive down and unload my stuff and drive back and walk back and make 6 different trips because you've basically taken away my parking. I have no issue paying for the parking, and although I I don't necessarily fully agree with it, it is what it is, but I don't think it's fair to not look at that and, you know, because you're eliminating parking for a lot of people.
But one of the slides we said, we have the ability, and as we're listening to people that come in and tell us things, Mariah came and talked about a few things, you're asking some things, it's not set in stone. We didn't make this where we can't be flexible or we can't learn something new. But we can listen to everything that you're saying, and we can bring it back to Jim and bring it back to council and see if there's changes to be made. I'm not saying, no, we will never do that. I'm just saying right now, we're not doing that. But that is something, as more people come in and explain certain areas where the parallel parking, like we did 45 degree on one side and parallel on the other side, then I understand what you're saying, because that spot's 20 foot long. But a regular spot that we have isn't 20 foot long because it's 45 degree angle. But if it's on the parallel side, then I can see what you're saying.
Okay.
So we can always, I mean, we always appreciate the input, and we can take that back to council and to Jim to see about considerations.
Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Mark Spicer, 108 Southeast 20th. My question is about clarification on what's included in the parking. If we look at the map that's on the town website, it's identified as the parking area in red, and then that says that's current and proposed. So how is one to know what is current requirement versus what's proposed?
So now that we've laid out some things, we've gotten, Public Works has identified some extra spots. Now we're going to have Matt, the planner, he'll go back in and re-identify what we have currently. The map that was approved by council, we will go in then show, because we looked at, try to be able to show Jim during the RFP what additional spots we think we may be able to put in at some point. Now that we've got it sort of streamlined and a little more detailed, now we will go back and show what areas will have the parking for this year and what areas that we are improving on hopefully next year.
Okay. And with that, I've asked and got different answers. But the Southeast 20th walkover, there's gravel parking on both ends of that, or either of those. They're both in red on the map, but I don't know, are they included in the parking or not?
Nothing on the other side, so everything south of you was included in the paid parking for this year. Everything on the southeast streets from Davis Canal up to East Oak Island Drive or West Oak Island Drive, they are not included in the paid parking. So those areas will only be monitored by the police department. They will not be monitored him. But that's another thing as we're seeing, because we know that, you know, the residents will be calling saying that people are parking here, going to the beach and whatever y'all are seeing, then council can consider those areas, because Jim did have it in one time looking at those areas as being part of paid parking because of the access to the beach. So that is something council will have to look at and staff will look at and bring back something that y'all see that says that you're being flooded by cars and we need to look at that.
I'm sure that's going to happen. 19th on the other side is going to be paid parking, you said?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
On the beach side, yes.
But currently, I don't see any wheel stops or signage there, so that's coming before April 1st.
We are working at it as fast as we can put them out.
Super. Sounds good. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Let me ask, Judy, before you go, how many others are planning to ask a question? Because we have a request by council to take a break. So if you don't mind, if we could take a 10-minute bio break and reconvene at 7:50?
There's 3 minutes.
Sorry, 8 o'clock. Yeah, big hand, Mickey says the big hand's on, right. Okay, so let's take a break till 8 o'clock.
I just have a real quick question, clarification.
I
I want to go home.
I understand. All right, we're back, and we'll resume with the next question.
Just wanted a clarification on some. I'm Judy Ratcliffe, 307 East Oak Island Drive. I have several friends who have handicap stickers, and they get to park for free. So does that mean they don't have to pay the $10 a year for a sticker? What we've been paying for a sticker?
So the answer with handicap is if they have a handicap license plate or a valid hang tag, they can park in any handicap space for free without stickers or permits or anything else. However, if they go to park in any other designated parking space, they have to have a permit, either a resident permit or a paid permit as a visitor.
Thank you.
My name is Tim Overby. I'm on Northwest 12th, and this question was asked earlier, and I apologize. I did not fully hear every bit of it. In reference to the boat ramp on Yacht and the parking there, I know it's limited parking in the parking spaces in general, but parking on the road, any at all, is that not going to be allowed on the side roads?
Are you talking about at the locations at the boat ramps, or are you talking about right-of-ways around town?
Location at the boat ramp
So
specifically.
at the boat ramp on 57th Place West, down there at Old Blue Water Point,
Right.
there's 9 boat trailer park spots there. You can park in those parking spots. The truck or the vehicle pulling it only has to have the sticker, or not sticker, but the tag or permit. And then the boat does not require a permit. But
Okay.
only the vehicle towing requires the permit.
But the side roads are right away though, right? And you're not allowed to park
You're
on
not, we have 9 spots identified with bumpers, and those are the spots that we have identified for parking at this time.
Oh, on the sides?
Yes, sir.
Outside of the other parking lot? Okay, I'm sorry, that's the part I missed a while ago. All right, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Hi, I'm Nancy Carroll, 136 Northeast 33rd Street. I guess this is sort of for both of you. It's a follow-up about the handicap. I have a soft spot for handicapped people that are still trying to use the beach and trying to be there. So they arrive and the handicap spots are full. Do we really want to ticket them for finding a spot that they can find?
I follow North Carolina statutes and the town council ordinances. And they say that if they park in a regular parking spot that is generally reserved for a paid visitor or a resident, then they have to pay for that parking spot. Otherwise, they will receive a ticket.
It's my understanding that all that is up for discussion and working out.
Everything is up for discussion and can be changed through the town
So
council.
my question stands, do we really want to ticket handicapped people that can't find a handicap spot?
I think they heard you. But, yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
That's.
I can't stop you now.
Mr. Varner, back again. There was a
be here all night if
situation
you
last
don't
year
stop it.
where 2 trucks were parked legally, but the trucks were long, and it was an emergency access, and emergency vehicles could not get through to go where they needed to very much at that time, and had to go further down the island and come back up the beach. Are you going to educate your attendants, your employees, on each of our, David Kelly, we have about 20 different spots along the beach designated as emergency accesses?
The emergency accesses, after that happened last year, we did away with angled parking on both sides of it. So now there's
You've
only
already taken
angle
care
on-
of that?
Only an angle on one side and parallel on the other side.
All right, good. Well, then, Mr. Varner, I'll just ask you to make sure that your employees know that at those places, make sure that they immediately call the police enforcement and get them towed to make sure that we always have those emergency accesses available for the emergency vehicles and
Absolutely.
awesome people that look out for us here.
I was in the area at the time of that event last year, and I know of the change that was made. So hopefully, it's
It's
not
all
going to
done
happen
deal.
again.
All right, well, I'll
but
go
we
sit
do-
down then.
But those are the kind of situations that we do keep our eye out for, especially in those emergency access areas.
Awesome, thank you.
Mr. Varner, Mr. Kelly, any closing comments?
No, ma'am. Council's always expressed that this is a work in progress for this first year. and we'll continue to do that. And the comments that come in to us will reflect, carry those out to y'all. But it is always something, and if Jim ever sees anything out there during the day, he can refer that to us as well. And we can keep an open communication with the citizens, the visitors, Jim, and council.
Excellent. Mr. Varner?
Once again, I want to say thank you for the opportunity to serve the town. It's my pleasure and honor to be here. I'm looking forward to a great season. I know that traditionally the first month or two has a few rough spots for people learning the process, but we are here to help. And we want to make sure that everybody knows that we are here to help. Typically, by the time we get through Memorial Day, things have settled out. Everybody's educated and things run very smoothly. So I'm very anxious to get started and have a great season. So thank you very much.
Thank you for being willing to come tonight and explain the program and to take questions. We very much appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I make that motion, Mayor.
Second, may I also say thank you for your time and patience and the thoroughness of your presentation. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
All in favor? And that's unanimous. Thank you, everyone, for being so patient, and it's very much appreciated.